Okay, so what are we looking at? Well, at first glance, it would appear to be a -840C locomotive, but it's not. I'm sure by now you already know what it is. But before we get into all that, I'd like to welcome any first-time viewers to the channel. Here we get into all aspects of railroading, including little tidbits like this. So if you like what you see in this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you get notifications. YouTube is very funny like that. This is a C39-8E locomotive. Now, you learned in a previous video that the E in Norfolk Southern locomotive designation stands for enhanced. Now, there are two other designations for the E on NS, efficiency and eco. But in most cases, the E will mean enhanced. The C39-8 locomotive was built in the mid-1980s by General Electric. In fact, it was built from 84 to 87, and it was not a popular locomotive. There were only 161 of them made, and they went to the Norfolk Southern and to Conrail. Naturally, Norfolk Southern, being the Bass Ackward Railroad it was at the time, geared some of them for long forward operation. Conrails were relatively easy to spot because of their class lights by the number boards. When Conrail got split up, NS got some of theirs and CSX got some of theirs. There are a couple running around down on the Pennsylvania Northeastern, I think it is, out of Lansdale here in Pennsylvania. I know there's one or two of them running around down there. The rest of them, at least a lot of them from Norfolk Southern, went down to South America. I don't know if Brazil, Argentina, one of the Central American countries. It wasn't Mexico. I don't think so. The C39-8 was a very unpopular locomotive with crews. And ironically, it's shown here, this one, 8207, ex-Conrail, is shown with a Norfolk Southern high hood, which was also very unpopular with train crews, at least train crews up here in the north. I don't know how the Southerners felt about them, but I know up here in the north, the crews hated them. The engines, they were known to have a lot of problems, and that's saying a lot because the -8 series on GE was actually a pretty successful locomotive. In fact, the -8s are what put GE in the lead over EMD. The SD50 is what killed EMD. The -8s is what gave it its edge over EMD. But nonetheless, the C39s, they were known for having a rough ride. They tended to overheat. They had turbocharger issues and a lot of other reliability issues, which, like I said, for GE, I mean, a lot of people make jokes about GE, and sometimes I've been a little bit guilty of it too, just because of the fact that I've always been an EMD fan. But GE, I mean, you can't deny that they make reliable locomotives. At least the railroads think so, seeing as how GE's been on top for the last 30 years. The Conrail 8207, that's a straight C39-8, no enhanced on that, no E designation. It started off as Conrail 6012-6012. It was built in July of 1986. From Conrail, it went to Norfolk Southern, where you see it here in Buttonwood in 2004. From there, it became NSSX. I don't even know what reporting mark that is, but it became NSSX 8207. And surprisingly, that engine is still running today, at least according to my research, because now it is Montreal, Maine, and Atlantic number 8207. Oh, you know what? It may not be running because they curtailed their operation to the CMQ. If you're not familiar with the Montreal, Maine, and Atlantic, they're the ones that had that big fire up in Willimantic, up in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments, but I think I'm right about that. There was a big fire up there, an oil train that was tied down. Something went on up there in Canada, and the Montreal, Maine, and Atlantic went bankrupt or just stopped operations, and the Central Maine and Quebec took over their operations. So I don't know if the Central Maine and Quebec is running that engine or not, but it last ran, at least according to my research, as the Montreal, Maine, and Atlantic 8207. As with any 6-axle locomotive, there's usually a 4-axle variant to it, and the C39-8 was no exception. The B39-8 also had very limited popularity with railroads. The Southern Pacific had them, the Santa Fe had them, and they also, a leasing company had them, LMX, such as the one here, the LMX 8547, which we can see here in Mobile, Alabama. According to my research, this particular locomotive has always been a leaser. It's had the RLCX reporting mark, it's had the NREX, which is National Railway Equipment reporting mark, and it's had the LMX reporting mark. Same number with all three companies, but different reporting mark.